Hello, this is Lisa Rusczyk
And Donna Murphy.
and the manager, and we
And
have
the
a guest
manager.
today. And we have a guest today. If you're watching, you see the manager and our guest. Our guest is named Jake. And Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
I am pretty good. How are you,
All
Donna?
good.
Donna's getting
All
butt
good.
approval all day long. Listen, we've been sitting here
Yeah.
for about 20 minutes trying to figure out tech stuff, and her butt is all involved. She likes
Yeah.
Jake. She likes Jake.
Yes, she
Apparently
does.
that's the
Jake, she
thing,
likes
right?
you.
I'm
Yeah,
not a
she
cat.
That's
likes you
big
very much.
approval. That's
I'm
huge.
not a
Yes.
cat person, so
When they show the butt, it's approval. They're like, you can do whatever you want to me, is what they're saying.
right,
You have,
right,
you have
right.
passed the test. And I guess I'm going to have to write a parody song and call it Kitty Got Back.
That's funny.
Because her behind is.
That's funny.
So, Jake, we have a question for you right away. Do you think that we are all psychic?
As in everyone, or
You're
three
all
people on this call.
humans, maybe even animals,
Yeah.
however you want to define it.
Yeah, I believe that I was a huge skeptic, and we can probably get into that. You know, my journey has led me to not being a skeptic anymore. But yes, I believe. I guess it's what is the context of being psychic, right? What is whatever that means, right? You know, and so sure, I definitely do believe a hell of a lot more than I used to believe, I should say. So yes,
I
I'm
understand.
gonna give it a yes.
You give it a tentative, well thought out yes. I like that. That's nice. You went through like the whole process of how you got there without us asking you, but you didn't tell us the details, and that's what we
I
like.
didn't, and we should probably go into that.
We
'Cause
should
that's
go
part-
into the details. So, listeners and watchers, Jake wrote me. You wrote me like about 2 months ago, and we scheduled this. Would you like to tell them about yourself and your
Sure.
experience?
I mean, I guess we'll just rip the Band-Aid off.
That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling ripping the Band-Aid
Right.
off. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the guy with stage 4 breast cancer. So there's and then a bunch of people go, wait, what? You have
Yeah, you
breast
don't
Mhm.
hear of men with breast cancer, and then that's what you'd said in your email, and you really wanted to talk about
Right.
this. And how
So it is, you know, I can go into my personal story in a minute, but you know, the stats are out there, right? It's 1 in 8 women, right, are going to get breast cancer sometime in their life. That is a big, huge, scary, disgusting stat, right?
It really
I
is.
know
It's
way
a
more than
big
8 women in
number.
my life, right? Like, and to think that anybody's going to be going through what I do, like, I don't want that. So it's 1 in 8 women. The stats are 1 in 8 women. Men are 1 in 728. So it's a much different thing. Men are, it's 99% of all breast cancer cases are women, 1% are men. There's about 2,800 guys in the U.S. Every year that will contract male breast cancer, right? So it's not it's 3,000 guys, right? It's not an insignificant number, right?
No.
It's in the grand scheme of breast cancer, though, which is, as you know, 1 in 8 women, it's a massive problem and a disease. 3,000 is a very small. 3,000 is only 1%, right? So if you do the
that
math out the other
counts,
way,
though.
a
That
lot of
counts.
women. It's a
Right.
lot of,
And again, obviously for the individual, naturally, it is huge.
right.
Yes.
So those are the stats, right?
Mhm.
The stats are also that largely male breast cancer. I mean, when I say male breast cancer, most people are like, "Wait, what? That's a thing." And so, and
I
it's
kind of
something
had that. I had that when I read your email. I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, I'd
94%
heard of it
of
before,
people are
but
just like you.
Yeah.
94% of the public have no idea that men can contract breast cancer.
I knew they could, but
Yeah.
I just didn't think about it much. You know,
Right.
and when you wrote that email, I was like, "Wow!" You know,
Right.
yeah.
It's one of those things, right, that you don't really think about, especially because breast cancer is it's sort of that pinnacle of cancer research, right? The pink ribbon has done its job, right? It's the most researched, it's the most funded, it's the most talked about, it's the most everything, right? Breast cancer. So I'm very happy to live under that giant pink umbrella, right? Because that's where I sort of have to live. You can't be an outlier and not embrace the pink umbrella, because the pink ribbon, I mean, I've been in marketing for 30 years, right? So I've been doing it for a long time. And when I taught classes on marketing, you use the pink ribbon as an example, right? It's Ford and Pepsi and the pink ribbon. The pink ribbon is one of the most successful marketing campaigns in the history of mankind. It has raised billions and billions of dollars over the past 70 years, right?
And awareness and
all
the focus
things,
on
right?
and all the focus on screening and
right. And then so it has greatly decreased. So breast cancer, and when I say breast cancer, it's mostly women, right? But breast cancer in women the fatality rates have dropped by almost 44% since the 80s. I mean, that's that's a massive
amazing.
number.
Both two of my cousins have had it. Yeah.
And men have not. And that's why we're here. And it's not because male breast cancer is more aggressive. It is not because it's a different disease. It is solely because of the social stigma and the cultural expectations that come with breast cancer. Having breasts and the concepts of breasts and the sexualization of breasts and all those things, right? And American media and everything else. And look, I'm a red-blooded American guy, and you put a beer commercial on with boobs, and I'm like, hey,
horses
great,
and boobs, Clydesdales and boobs.
Right. But
it's going to catch your attention.
Yeah. Right. But at the end of the day, if you are a human being, and I'm pretty sure that everybody that's watching this or listening to this is a human being, then you have breast tissue, right? You don't have to be male or female or non-binary or transgender or whatever you are. If you're a human mammal, you have breast tissue. And that breast tissue can be susceptible to breast cancer. And that's sort of so many guys, second you start saying the word breast or guys having,
do they get weird?
It's immediately shut down. They're like, I don't have all that. And I'm like, great, so fine. We won't call them breasts because everybody gets real sensitive about it. So we won't call them that. So, whatever. We just, we have to dance around this male, honestly, this toxic male, masculinity that's out there that prevents guys from getting treated, that prevents guys from going to the doctor, that prevents guys from going to sit in a pink or flowered waiting room. Because I've sat in a bunch of those, right? You don't think about these things, right?
Yeah, you don't.
Right.
The microaggressions that come along on a guy with breast cancer, and I use the word microaggressions, but it's not like that's probably too strong of a word, right? But like the pink and flowered waiting rooms, right? I live in Massachusetts. I go to Dana-Farber, one of the top cancer hospitals in the world. And when I step out of the elevator onto the 8th floor at Dana-Farber, Dana-Farber being in Boston, one of the most liberal, progressive cities in the world, all of these things, you'd think that Boston would get it right. I step out of the 8th floor and I step onto the Susan F. Smith Center for Women's Cancers.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand how philanthropy works, and I understand that Susan F. Smith paid a lot of money for that sign, but it's factually incorrect, right? I belong on that floor, right? I have breast cancer. It's not women's cancers, right? It's not if it was uterine or ovarian cancer, sure.
Different story, because obviously, as far as biology,
prostate or testicular, that's specific.
Exactly.
But there's so many body parts that are non-gender specific.
Yes.
But this one in particular,
including breasts,
gets the stigma, right? It does. It does. So I don't know where you want to start. If you want to start at the beginning.
Well, I would love to hear. I was kind of curious. Like before you developed breast cancer, were you a skeptic about spirituality?
This is all part of the story. So
that's what I thought.
Okay.
So it's story time. You guys got some time?
I love story time.
Oh, yeah.
So
we want story time.
I was diagnosed in 2023, right? That's when I was diagnosed. But this story starts in June of 2018, because that's where this starts. June of 2018, I am 320 pounds. I am completely stressed out. I'm a borderline alcoholic. I am completely stressed out at work. I am not taking care of myself. And I have a level 4 ischemic stroke. How old was I when I had my stroke? 47?
Wow.
I had a level. So strokes go on a scale from 1 to 10. 4 is the top end of a minor stroke, right? So grades 1 through 4 is a minor stroke. I was a level 4, and so it was caught early, and I received this TPS, I think it's the TPS, wonder drug that basically it's a fire hose for your entire circular system that cleans everything out. And I survived, and I was cleared back at 100% about 6 months later.
Wow, that's remarkable.
It really is, and I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah.
But I didn't make any changes really to my lifestyle. It wasn't the wake-up call that I think it is for some people. It wasn't an immediate wake-up call for me. It just I was too busy trying to recover. I was too busy trying to just get well, but I just didn't change my lifestyle that much. So so literally a year goes by. The summer of 2019, I stopped weighing myself, right? Where I'm at that point where, if you've ever been afraid to look at the scale number and you just stop weighing yourself, I was at that point, right? I was like, I know that this is getting worse, but if I don't see it, then I don't know it, right?
Right. It's like if I don't get on the
blinders.
It's like if I don't get on the scale, it's not real. No matter how I feel and no matter what I see in the mirror, if I haven't seen the number on the scale, somehow it's not real.
Right.
So I decide, I'm well over 300 pounds at this point. I decide that I'm going to use New Year's Eve. This is almost the fall of 2019. I'm going to use New Year's Eve of 2020, new year, new me. I'm going to New Year's resolution, and I've done this half dozen times in my life, right? I've lost 40 pounds, but then I've gained 50, right? I've lost 50 pounds and then I've gained 30 back or whatever. I sort of yo-yoed my entire life going up and down. But I'm like, I'm going to do it this time. So, January rolls around and I'm, eating my salads and I'm doing my little exercise routines. And January, February, and then March of 2020 happens, right? And we all know what happens in March of 2020. It's COVID. And, if you remember, everybody just started walking, right? Because there was literally nothing else to do. So everybody's just going on walks, right? So the first few months of COVID, everybody's just like, well, everybody's socially distancing. So everybody's just going on long walks. Well, I walked off 120 pounds.
Wow. That's remarkable.
And kept it off. I didn't use any, and I have, this is not a dig on anybody that uses any kind of help for weight loss. I just didn't use it. So I just I don't know if you guys swear on your podcast or not, but
you can.
I put less shit in my face and I output more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very, very basic formula, right? Put less stuff in and output more, and you're gonna see results, right? And I didn't want to do something that was a fad diet or something that, I cut out all carbs, and then the second I eat a piece of bread, I gain 4 pounds, right? It's not what I want to do.
Exactly.
I want to live a normal lifestyle. So, but what I also did, and this is an important part of the story, was during that time, during COVID, when everybody was, all messed up and sort of thinking about everything what's going on in the world, I also figured out that I need to make more than just physical changes in my life. I needed to really, at the beginning, I didn't know what I needed, but that process took 2.5 years of drastically changing myself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. I dropped my therapist who was not challenging me enough. And then I got this real hard ass bitch of a therapist who held my feet to the fire for 2 years and did not let me not be accountable to myself.
Nice.
I call her a bitch, but
you needed that. You needed that, right?
All the right ways. She made me be accountable to myself. And what I did was I basically spent 2 years flipping over every stone in my soul to figure out what's underneath it. And oh man, there's some bullshit when I was 19 years old, and I probably owe that person an apology. And there's something from the Marine Corps. There's some PTSD from the Marine Corps that's left undone. I should probably take care of that. And oh my gosh, there's something over here. So at the end of 2 years, my mantra became just be a better human. But be a better human is ultimately being the most accountable to yourself. If you're not accountable to yourself, then you can never ask anybody else to be a better human. And so this culminated when I stopped doing the significant, I mean, was when you're walking 8 to 10 miles a day, and then like that's a lot. That's a commitment,
a ton
right?
of walking.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You stop. You're like, okay, well, what am I gonna do now? Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
So I found. So this is where we start getting into your part of the story. I found yoga, and I found meditation, and I found Reiki. Okay.
Reiki.
And I'm like, so for the first 6 months of me doing yoga, I'm doing an exercise class, right? I'm doing all stuff, but I'm doing an exercise class, right?
Yeah.
And then about 6 months in, I start weeping during yoga, like openly weeping. And, this got unlocked and this chakra got unlocked and this thing, all these things started unlocking. And I finally realized, oh my goodness, wow, weight loss was never really about the food. It was about this emotional baggage. It was about spiritual baggage. It was about all these other things that I had never dealt with. But now that I was dealing with them, oh my gosh, well, the weight just sort of falls off when you deal with your emotional stuff, right? So I did all things. But during that process, I will tell you why I was a skeptic. Because I think that's an interesting, because I think
I'd love to hear that. Yeah.
Right? There's a why I was a skeptic. I was raised in a born again Christian household.
Okay.
And so anything that was outside that norm was the devil, right? I mean, really bad.
Yeah.
I'm from the South. Yeah.
Right. And so this was ingrained in me to not believe in that. Like, and if I did, I was going to hell. Right?
Yeah.
Literally moved away.
Yeah. It's only God, only Jesus, only the Bible.
Right.
That's it.
I consider myself to be spiritually fluid. There are things that I take from Christianity that I think are good. There are things that I take from Buddhism and Hindu and Islam that I think are
kind of like
good.
That too. Yeah.
And naturalism
like
and sun worship and all of the things, right? I think there's a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think if you looked at all the major organized religions, they're all preaching the same thing anyway. Be a nice human. That's really what they're. At the end of the day, that's with all the organized religions. You take all their holy books, you take everything else. At the end of the day, they're just trying to be a good human. So I tried to do this. And as I started down this path of yoga and meditation, I found that I'm not a meditation person. I can't just sit down and, okay, now I'm going to meditate because I'm definitely undiagnosed ADD, 100% all these things. So I cannot sit there and meditate. But through yoga, through physical activity,
you blank the mind after a while.
When I'm in yoga, right?
Your body,
That led to my yoga instructor was like, "Hey, have you ever tried Reiki?" And I was like, "No, but I don't believe in any of that stuff." And so that one thing led to another, and my Reiki instructor was like, "Holy shit, you are much like." I think she's a level 2 Reiki master. Like she says, your raw ability to tap into the energy field is better than mine is now. And I'm, and so I was like, all right, whatever, I start doing things like sound healing. I start doing things like, and I start experiencing psychic-y things,
Like what? Give us some examples.
I'll get into my diagnosis story in a minute, but I will tell you that it was the weekend that I found out that I had gone stage 4, right? It was a significant weekend in our lives, right? I was stage 2 and then stage 3. And then when you go to stage 4, it's not curable, right? It's right. Unless I fall off a cliff or get hit by a bus, this is the thing that's going to take me out, right? It's just one of those things, right? And I have come to grips with my own mortality and all of those things, right? And I'm good. But that weekend, when you are told, you're on this path of, I was told very early on in my breast cancer journey, you've got the standard run-of-the-mill breast cancer, right? It's stage 2. You're going to go in, you're going to do your time in chemo and radiation, and then you'll be fine. And then, like everybody else does, right? You do a year in chemo and radiation and you come out the other side. And things kept on failing. I was not with Dana-Farber during that time. I probably should have been, and I probably wouldn't be stage 4 if I had been with them the whole time. But this other institution, they were failing me the whole time. They basically wasted a year plus of this diagnosis.
Wow.
When I went from stage 3 to stage 4. But your question was
psychic-y things happening. What were they?
So there is one thing that I cannot explain. I know what it is. I know deep, deep, deep down what it is. I can't explain it, but here it is. That weekend, my wife, who is my best friend and my confidant and everything to me, she is, if you follow my social media, she's a regular part on there. She's an amazing person. And she was an amazing person before she was my caregiver, right? But she's my caregiver. So she tries everything to try and make me bring me some comfort, right?
That is so nice to have. That makes all the difference.
I am so blessed and lucky to have the support network that I have. And she's just one part of that, and probably the most important part. But she was like, I want to try this sound healing thing. And I'm like, oh my God, the sound healing is going to get rid of my cancer? She's like, no. The sound healing is not going to get rid of the cancer. The sound healing is just going to help you emotionally and in your mental state and those kinds of things. And I'm like, fine. So we go to this guy named Nash, because of course the sound healer guy's name is Nash.
Yeah.
So Nash, he has this converted garage, and pretty much every instrument known to mankind is lining the walls, and it's all dark and candly. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, what are we doing?
I'd love that so much. I would love that so much.
Right. So he's laying me on the ground, and he's like, okay, so I'm going to, it was a one-on-one session. We've been in other sound healings that was more of a class. This was one-on-one. So he was able to do things with me that he wasn't able to do in the class, where he was able to put instruments on my chest and play. So the vibrations went down into my chest and all these other things. It was really remarkable. And he started me on this journey in that hour that we were together. And he said, I want you to focus, and I'm not going to tell you what to focus on. I would just want you to focus, and whatever your mind focuses on, that's going to be the thing, right? I can't tell you what that is. And so I closed my eyes and I went through this thing, and what I saw in my mind's eye, that's, and I can say that now because I don't not believe it anymore. I really believe that I saw something. Was like, can't even believe I'm saying this stuff. When people come back,
I know how you feel. I've been there.
They're like,
years.
There's this big long tunnel, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Right.
I saw a long tunnel with a light at the end of the tunnel, and I was moving towards it, right? And what I realized was that was my own mortality. When I reached that tunnel, that was the end, and that was it. And I was a good far ways back. It was just a speck. During that hour, I got closer, and I remember, like, I said very little. I was, I don't want to say I was weeping, but like constant, just open to what was happening, right? And there was, the one thing I said was, I see it. And my wife said, you see what? What do you see? And I see it. I see the end. I see it, and it's not scary, and it is not something that I need to fear. I see the end, and it is okay. It's not something that I need to be afraid of. And so,
like an inner peace.
Talk about a psychic ability. Like that was the thing
that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Finding peace with yourself. That's what spirituality is.
And that's really what it was. I felt such peace in that moment.
Yeah.
That it didn't. I knew what I was looking at, but it wasn't scary.
You could handle it then. It wasn't as bad. Yeah.
No, and so that was all happening at the same time of me changing what I was doing on social media, which I guess is the next part of this story, right? So let's go to my diagnosis, because, as I'm going through those couple years, 21 and 22, of losing the weight and becoming more emotionally better and all the things. Come the beginning of 2023, Rand, I'm now like 175 pounds, down from like 320. I'm like, I've got abs. I'm like strapped. I'm like, and I'm like, I spent 10 years in the Marine Corps, and I'm in the best shape of my life, even in the Marine Corps. Like at 50 years old, I'm in the best shape of my life, right? I'm killing it. And so, and at this point, I started my own business. I started my own nonprofit marketing company. We're now the largest in New England. We have 14 employees. We're cruising. We're killing it. We're doing all these things. And then in March of 2023, I'm putting on deodorant, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I went on with my day, because that's what guys do, right? I didn't think anything about it that day. I was just like, well, that's a weird thing. And then the next day I was like, oh, that thing's still there. That's weird. All right. And one day turned into 1 week, which turned into 2 months, which turned into 3 months. And so that was March. Come July, I'm like, this isn't going away.
Yeah.
This isn't going away.
Was it getting bigger or anything?
No,
or
it's not any worse. It's just not going away. So I have a primary care physician appointment in August, right? So I'm like, I'm 50 years old, or whatever I was at the time, 52. So I'm like, I've got a laundry list of things I'm bringing to my primary care visit, right? These are the things that have been wrong in the past year. I'm adding weird lump in my armpit to the things that have gone wrong, right? That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm whatever. So I go to my doctor and we deal with everything else. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got this weird lump in my armpit. And he's like, all right, well, let me check. And it was funny. He was like, oh yeah, that is sort of weird. I'm like, it is. And then he goes, well, here's the thing I think it is. He listed off 10 things, and none of them were breast cancer.
Really?
But he said, out of an abundance of caution, let's just send you for a mammogram. And that was the very first time I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, you're like, a mammogram? That's not what? How do I do that?
A mammogram? Like, what are you talking about? And so he's like, yeah, it's a standard breast cancer treatment or a scanning tool. And I'm like, all right, well, I know what a mammogram is. My wife has gone, I just didn't think that men could get them or whatever. Yeah. So I go in for my mammogram, and, and there's not, at that point, I'm about 15 pounds lighter than I am now. So there's even less like to put into a.
I was actually thinking the same thing.
That's what I was thinking.
Very little to put into a machine. And then that makes it even more painful. Right. You'll hear that more flat-chested women, because I'm in the same category as someone with a smaller cup size. They say that it hurts much more than
because there just isn't enough tissue to position.
And then when that tissue has cancer in it, and then you're squishing it, it's like,
oh gosh, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm looking, I'm in a dark room, and, they have the scans up there in the thing. And this is my very first time looking at a scan ever. Right. And I'm 3 years into this now, and I can read, but like at that time, I'm like, what am I even looking at? I don't even know what part of the body this is. I don't even know what I'm looking at. So I asked the mammogram tech next to me, who has seen a million of these things, right? She has been in a million yeses and a million nos, right? She's seen everything. And I ask her, I say, so can you tell me if I have cancer or not? And she goes, I can't, because the radiologist has to come in a couple of minutes and he'll tell you. But what I will tell you is that your life is going to start moving incredibly fast and incredibly slow at the exact same time. And obviously she was telling me I had cancer at that time. But I will tell you that
weird way to say it.
Nothing has been closer to the truth. Like that conversation happened almost 3 years ago now, 2 years and 11 months ago. And that seems like that was 4 days ago. And it also seems like it was 40 years ago. Like,
I bet.
The time compression and expansion when you have cancer is just really crazy. When you're waiting for a scan Like the time drags or
Yeah.
whatever. But when you're happy and go lucky and everything else, the time gets really quick, right? So that began my journey in male breast cancer, right? And I quickly found out that most men don't want to talk about it, that most men feel extremely emasculated and ashamed about something that they had nothing to do with, that there's a subset of men that refuse to even go into treatment because they don't want to live under that pink world. And I say, like, look, if I'm the leading male breast cancer spokesperson in the country, which at the end of the day, I probably am, right? I'm one of them. I have the largest social followings in the world and all these other things. So if I'm the leading male breast cancer spokesperson in this world, I'll work on the toxic masculinity that makes guys not want to go to treatment, but it's way easier for you to fucking paint your waiting room green or orange or yellow instead of pink, right? Like it's a couple gallons of paint to make somebody feel included, right? Like these are the things that people don't think about, right? When I came out of, I had a full mastectomy, I had a lateral mastectomy. So basically I have a scar from here to here, right? My whole breast and nipple and everything is gone. When I came out of my mastectomy, I had 3 different surgeries, but when I came out of my first one, they put a surgical bind on you, right? It's sort of this Velcro-y thing that sort of keeps everything in place. It's sort of a compression thing for your torso. After you have abdominal surgery, it keeps everything together. So I wake up after surgery, and the nurses, I'm letting them off the hook because they were trying to be kind to me, right? They were not being anything else other than kind to me. They were like, hey, so we didn't put the surgical bind on you because the only ones we had in the OR were pink and flowers. And I was like,
oh man, they should have been prepared for
get
you.
some different colors in here. But second of all, do you think I'm going to turn down a medical device because I'm like, put it on me? Of course,
it's like I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care what's on it.
Any sense?
That's the level of stuff. You go into waiting rooms and it's pink and flowers, or they only have pink robes at this one clinic I go to. Whatever. It's just, and I will tell you, there's so many women that are tired of the pink as well. Don't infantilize or romanticize my friggin' breast cancer, right? They're like,
just
because like a little girl thing, or don't make this like a romantic, like this is bullshit. It's a disease. So there's lots of women that don't want the pink. But the pink is there, and this isn't a really, I'm happy to be under the pink, but there needs to be considerations for, it's not just men, it's gender, it is non-binary, it is, I mean, it's hard enough for men. I can't imagine being transgender in trying to, if you were born a woman, but transition to a male, you still have female DNA. So you're in that 1 in 8 category, but I can't imagine the difficulty of being non-gendered in this disease. But when I said black men die at a rate 30% more than women, that's really only Caucasian women. It's a really funny thing in breast cancer that if you don't fit the normal mold of what breast cancer, the national breast cancer orgs think you should be, which is a cisgendered, straight, Caucasian woman in her 70s. Like if you don't fit that category, sometimes you're left out. Like black women actually die at a rate higher than men, 40% more than white women, 40%. Asian women, Latino women are much higher. So, I mean, I've been told to my face, there's about 20 to 25% of women in breast cancer that don't want men involved, even though we have the disease. Like I've been told to my face, men have too much voice in this world, and you're not taking mine away from me.
What, in a breast cancer situation? That's so freaking crazy.
So I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to take your voice away, and I don't even disagree with the first part of that sentence that men have too much voice in this world.
Something in common, not something separate.
But I'm not trying to take your voice away. I'm just trying to get 1%. 1% of the problem heard. That's all I'm trying to do. You can still have a big pink ribbon, and at the very end, if the very bottom of the tail was blue, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm looking for. This is not a 50-50 solution, even if
it's not, and quite frankly, just listening to what you're saying, I mean, to me, it's like, okay, this is not a competition.
That's not
This is a
Right.
real
no.
thing. It's a real thing. It's a thing people are not as, I'm sure, not nearly as aware of
Right.
as they are with the whole understanding, such as it is, of breast cancer being,
Yep.
again, I'll say primarily, but not
Right. It's just,
exclusively,
people
a
immediately
woman's
think of
disease.
women, right? And that's the
It just,
first.
that's where your mind goes.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm not one of those people that thinks that you shouldn't. There are some guys in breast cancer, and there's 2,500 breast cancer organizations in this country. There's 3 for men.
No.
Yeah.
And so sometimes those organizations get a little bit militant and they're like, no, and men, and men. I'm like, we are 1% of the population. That means that we shouldn't be ignored, but we should have a little small voice. I'm not expecting Susan G. Komen to have every one of their social posts be about guys,
about male breast cancer, right?
Or even be about, patients, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
99% of their donors and their patients and everybody else is women, so they should be talking about this. But it's when organizations, and I'm talking specifically, and I've said this to these organizations. So if anybody's watching here from these organizations, I've said it to your leadership. The big national organizations will have a huge banner running across their website saying ending breast cancer for all, or something similar to that, right? And then every pronoun they use in the rest of their website is she and her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there won't be one picture of a guy or one mention of male breast cancer in the entirety of the
one
website.
Sentence, yeah, one sentence. Yeah.
And so, but there are a couple that are making these changes, and it's
like you.
I don't know if it's because of me, but things have drastically changed in the past 2 years. And part of it is because I'm relentless in what I do. And so they don't have a choice but to listen to me because I have the ear of a lot of the people that they want to have the ear of. Right. Yeah. So I've got 50,000 people on social media that follow me very, very closely, and they're very supportive and very engaging, and all my posts get a ton of me. So organizations like Susan G. Komen are like, can we have a post with you? Like that, So, and there are some organizations that I'll work with and other ones that I'm like, guys, they're
making it like glamorizing you.
You're not. Oh, and I'm fine. I'm fine with being a unicorn. I'm fine with being used because, at the end of the day, I have a post right now. I posted it about as little less than a month ago. And, posts cumulatively keep on growing, at least mine do, right? Yeah. So you can put up a post and it may get 1,000 likes the first day, right? But it's going to cumulatively grow as over time. I have a post that has 980,000 views. I'm 20,000 views from 1 million. It'll be my first million viewer post, right?
Yeah.
And my whole thing with that is that now there's 1 million people that now know that guys can get breast cancer because my tag, because my name on my accounts is the guy with stage 4 breast cancer.
Lives.
Right. And that's all I'm trying to do at this point. I'm trying to make it so people don't whip around and say, what? I mean,
what compels you to want to get male awareness out there?
RNs and MDs next to their name.
But what was it? What was it that really compelled you? Was it to get other men to realize this can happen to them, or was it more than that?
Well, I've been, like I said, I was a marketer earlier, right? And I've been doing social media professionally for 20 plus years, right? I've, literally starting with MySpace.
Yeah, I've been on MySpace.
But I've been using it in different marketing mechanisms for decades.
Nice.
And my personal social media before I got breast cancer was just about my life and my wife and the dogs, but it was very engaging, and I never posted memes. It was always original content and all these things. And so I started my TikTok channel, right? That's that's the one I have the most amount of followers on, right? TikTok. I'm a 54-year-old guy on TikTok. But I start my TikTok channel, right? And I'm doing what everybody else that has cancer is doing. They're just sort of documenting their journey, right? This is me at chemo and it sucks, and this is me at radiation and it sucks, and this is me recovering from surgery and it sucks. And I tried to make it a little bit more engaging. It became one of my big things that when I first started treatment, when I started chemo, the chemo was on the second floor of the building that I was going in. And of course, there's an elevator there for everybody to go up and down. But my mantra became, we take the stairs until we fucking can't. Like, we're going to take the stairs until I can't take the stairs.
I like that.
Yeah.
It gives you a will. It gives you
every
something to
day,
work for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I would have this huge cheering section on social media where like, we're taking the stairs and everybody was happy.
That's so good. You had some real encouragement
honestly,
then.
I went through 5 months of chemo.
You kind of went from
chemo
like,
and came out the other side still taking the stairs.
But you kind of went from like being really isolated in this when you first were diagnosed to really having a lot of support. Is that
very
part of the reason
isolated.
that you started speaking out about it? Because you needed support. Men weren't supporting you because they wouldn't talk about it.
Right. And that was the thing. And still my social audience is about, again, I'm a marketer. It's between 90 and 91% females age 35 to 54. That's the majority of my audience, right? If I was just talking to males with breast cancer, that would be a really, really small number.
Yeah, because there's just a small number of them. I know. Right. I'm sure they all know about you, though.
Willing to talk about it on social or wherever. It's a microcosm of that.
Yeah. But also, and I think this is probably important, is even if a lot of who is becoming educated, at least kind of first line educated about it, are women. Women have husbands, women have sons, women have brothers, women have father. You know what I mean?
They will pay more attention to healthcare and healthcare related things than likely their sons or husbands or fathers will.
Exactly.
Right?
If I know, most of the men I know, until they often reach a certain age or have dealt with a certain significant health condition, not necessarily life-threatening, but serious enough to make you sit up and take notice and go, okay, what do we do now? But yes, women are more likely to be oriented toward wanting the information, but also women are, again, not to make sweeping generalizations, are somewhat or greatly even influential in disseminating information, including to the males in their lives.
I tell people all that. I made very serious social posts, but one of my more successful social posts was basically telling women that I said, we all know that the guys in your life are not going to do breast self-exams, right? Most of the women are not doing breast self-exams, right? So we know the guys are not going to do it. And I can say on the first of every month that you should be doing it. But I'm like, hey, women, during happy time with your man, feel his chest.
Yeah.
Don't make it a thing. But if you feel something, you got to say something to him because
that's not what I'm thinking about when I'm having sexy time. But it's shower time or something.
Right.
Check it out.
It's not something that you. But I said you may just be touching your guy's chest more than he is, right? So it doesn't have to be during the throes of lovemaking.
Yeah, good point there.
You're running your hands across his chest, and you're like, oh, what's that? Right? It's just it's a little bit of a different thing. So, I try to approach this in all kinds of ways, right? There's humor, but when I'm in this shit in my own feelings, like that's out there too, right?
Where do you go? Well, that's where the spirituality, that's where I lean on it. When I really am I have a lot of health issues.
Yeah.
And, it's the one thing that really gets me through it every single time. Like sometimes I can't go anywhere for weeks. And I got to a point last year where I couldn't even do podcasts anymore, and it's been going on all my life, on and off, health issues.
Right.
I just got diagnosed like 4 years ago with what was actually wrong with me, though, supposedly.
Yeah. For a while, there were a lot of misdiagnoses. So,
I was originally misdiagnosed as stage 2. I should have been diagnosed as stage 3. And then by the time they really caught up what was going on.
It sounds like they didn't take you very seriously. And,
Well, it's funny, though, because when you're the only guy with breast cancer in the entire hospital network, right? I was the only guy in their entire hospital network. So everybody wanted to be on my case, right? This was prior to Dana-Farber. Everybody wanted, because, I get to be in on that case. When they started failing me, nobody wanted to be on my case, right?
That's so true. Amen, brother. That's the truth about doctors. They will abandon you in a heartbeat if they can't fix you. That's a big one for me. That's a big one for me.
I basically had to fire my entire oncology team. But here was
I got fired. My doctors kicked me out because I couldn't fix me.
Gosh.
They sent me. He said to me in a portal message, "I'll be there till the end," and I said, "I doubt it." And the next day, I got a letter from them saying I was no longer in their service.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've written review error, and I had asked. I've had the worst medical treatment until I moved to Nashville, and here I've been getting it. But the ones the doctors I do have, I have to pay out of pocket for. They're good. You can only find good doctors who you pay out of pocket for. Insurance, the good doctors aren't under insurance, the ones who really can help me with my particular issues, because nobody knows what to do with me. But these doctors are specializing in certain things. Like I take a low dose naltrexone, which is it's a way to stop pain, and this HEDS pain that I have. And I have to pay out of pocket for it. It's worth every dime. But this doctor knows more than any doctor I have ever spoken to. She's a hormonal specialist, and
well, I have my guy. So I go to Dana-Farber, right? And Dana-Farber has the only male breast cancer department in the world.
Okay.
And I just happened to hit the geographic lottery and live 78 miles away.
Good.
But people come from all over the world to go to Dana-Farber because they have the only male breast cancer department in the world.
Wow.
And my oncologist, Dr. Leone, is the head of the male breast cancer department, right? So in theory, he's the guy, right? He's the guy in the entire world that knows about breast cancer. And he tells me all the time, Jake, I have no idea how to treat you. I have no idea what to do.
What was the issue? What did they figure out? What were you so hard to treat?
The issue is that the big issue is that in the 70 years of breast cancer research and the approximately $20 billion that's been spent on breast cancer research, there has never been one dime spent on the differences between male and female breast cancer. There's never been.
You had something very specific because you're a man with breast cancer that they didn't catch. Is that what you're saying?
Nope. I'm saying that there has never been any.
There's none. So that could they? Yeah. Okay.
Ever. So they don't. Yeah. So they treat me. So when they bring me in and they put me on estrogen blocking hormone therapy, because that's the way that they treat all the women.
Right.
And it's working. So they're like, we have no
you have
idea
a different
if this is the best way to treat.
They should have known by then.
But you have different hormones. You're a biological male and you're going to have different hormones than a biological female. Yeah.
They don't even know if it's truly the same disease. They just don't even know. And so part of me is that I would love to see 1% of research dollars go to male breast cancer. That seems like a fair and equitable number. If you're giving $1 million for breast cancer, I'm only looking for 10,000. I'm looking for the 1%. And you're gonna be a real dick if you give somebody $1 million and you won't kick in another 10,000 because you know. And
I think it's a good thing you're doing, getting some attention on this.
But it's also it's changing the story. It's changing the narrative at a national level. Because Susan G. Komen is working with me, earlier this year, they asked me to join their metastatic breast cancer steering committee, which is their metastatic board, right? In their 50-year history, Komen has never had a male patient on any of its boards. They've had male doctors and they've had male donors, but they've never had a male patient. And so there's a shift happening, right? There's just more people willing to talk about this. There's more guys.
That's a big deal.
There's more guys that are not scared and alone and ashamed of this disease that are willing to come forward. I had a guy, it was about a month ago, and he came to me and he said, I've been following you on social media for a year. I've never commented or posted or liked or anything. He goes, but I had stage 2 breast cancer about 15 years ago. And 5 people in my life knew about it. It was my wife, my 2 kids, and my parents. Everybody else just knew that I was sick or that I had cancer.
Same thing with mental health.
I could never have said the word breast or breast cancer. I was too ashamed. And I went through all of my treatment completely alone and ashamed and isolated that I had breast cancer. And he goes, but I've been teaching you for a year.
Yeah.
And I finally feel brave enough. And I changed my Facebook profile to breast cancer survivor. That's all he did was he put cancer survivor in his Facebook profile. And he received so much love and support.
Yeah.
and attention. And he said, I don't know why I was ever this ashamed over something I never asked for, that I shouldn't have ever felt that way. And so I'm now receiving messages from more and more guys that are like, hey, thank you for doing this. Thank you for saying so. I feel less alone. I feel less ashamed. I have it's the guy with stage4breastcancer.com, right? It's just a website. And it's got some resources on there because, like I said,
he's telling you where to find them, listeners.
What's that?
I said he's telling you where to find him, listeners.
The guy with stage 4 breast cancer, and the 4 is numerical, by the way. So because there's only 3 of these sites, when I first got it, like I'm trying to find anything. And
how do you even find information?
So just Googling. So people are landing on my page, and right at the very top of my page is a big yellow button that says, if you're a guy with breast cancer or you're going in for a mammogram or whatever your situation is, if you don't know where else to go, click on this button and you can talk to me. At this point, man. With 50,000 followers, really, I don't have the ability to go in there and comment on everybody's things anymore, because some of these things get hundreds of comments now, and I don't have time to go in there and
go through all the
every single guy that comes along that's like, hey, I'm scared I found a lump, or oh my God, they found breast cancer and now I'm starting this journey. And I will take time out of my day for every single man that needs a friend, right? Because that's at the end of the day, that's all we need. And I don't turn away women. There was a woman.
No. I hope not.
No. She wrote me.
Because that's going against everything you're saying.
No. She wrote me and she said, I'm 31 years old, which, like, being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer of any kind at 31 years old.
At 30,
like I don't comprehend that. I don't understand it. But she said, I was laying in bed this morning, and she's a single mom of 2 kids, and she was diagnosed stage 4 out of the gate, right? She was that's called being stage 4 de novo, right? That's the are diagnosed initially at stage 4. You go straight to de novo. And she said, I've been laying in bed. So I'm reading this in my phone at about 7:30 in the morning. I'm still laying in bed. And she had just written me. So she's like, I'm laying in bed. I can't get myself out of bed. I'm crying and I can't get out of bed. She said, I've been watching. She goes, I've been awake all night. I've been tossing and turning, and I watched about 200 of your videos. And I went back, and she was liking things from like a year and a half ago. I'm like, Jesus, like you went back.
You really did watch every one.
You went back.
I have a question for you, Jake. I kind of want to start wrapping it up. We've been going for about an hour. I don't like the podcast to go over 40 minutes usually.
Yep. Of course.
So listeners don't retain. I've looked at my analytics at about 40 minutes. They drop out, So, but I really want to ask you, kind of wrap into like your spiritual experience with this whole medical issue and everything that you dealt with it, with the stigma and everything and talking to men about it, not finding anything there, and then kind of blowing up on social media and finding the support there that you always needed.
Yeah.
What was it? What was your spiritual experience with that? Like, how did that feel? Like when you first, like you said, you had this moment where you knew that it would be okay if you died, and if you when your time came, it would be okay.
Yep.
So did you carry that? Did you keep that feeling with you?
It has that feeling that light that I saw. It is a constant.
It's a light.
It's not a memory.
It's a constant light.
It's a constant thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it seems like it really changed everything for you.
I will tell you that my mantra shifted from be a better human to be the best human being I can be, to trying to help other people be the best versions of themselves that they can be, right? It was different.
That's beautiful.
I had done my work, right? I had done all of my work. I'd flipped over all those rocks in my soul, right? And so that's when that shifted to trying to help other people in whatever ways that I could, right?
Yeah.
So that calm feeling is the reason I'm able to do what I do now, right? I'm at peace with my own mortality. I'm at peace with my own death. I'm at peace with my own life, whatever that is.
That's even harder than your own death sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the average lifespan of a metastatic breast cancer patient is 5 years, and I'm on year 3, right? And so, but that's okay. And so when I think about that aspect of my life, right? I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. But if you try to lead a simpler, calmer, benevolent life where you're trying to help other people for the sake of helping other people and not because a book told you to, right?
Right, because you enjoy it.
For the sake of helping another human being.
Yeah, you're not just checking a box.
That's where my spirituality has really gone, right? And that's where this, I'm as vulnerable and as open and as expressionful as I can be on social media because I know that helps people. I know it does because people write it to me all the time that I'm helping people.
Yes.
So yeah, that's where this leads me, right?
That is just great. I'm really glad that that you found, instead of just like, I mean, you obviously have a lot of resilience that you were able to lose all that weight by just walking 8 to 10 miles a day.
Just walking, right?
Just 8 to 10 miles a day.
More than just.
Right.
Yeah, that's marathon stuff.
Yeah.
But you did show great resilience there and changing your life around at that time in your life. So when this came along, I'm like, it must have been kind of like, I thought I dealt with all the shit.
Well, I'm going to tell you, we'll leave you with this. If I was still the 320-pound stressed out alcoholic I was in 2018, I'd be dead by now.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. No,
you couldn't have done what you did.
I had done all of that work for 2.5 years. So that when somebody says those words, you've got cancer, I'm like, all right, well,
I can handle this.
Let's deal with that, right? I wasn't. Most people, when they get to that moment, when they say, hey, you've got cancer, that's when that process begins. That what does it all mean moment, right? Yeah. I'd already been in it for 3 years. And so I used all of that to hopefully
prepare you for,
So where can the listeners and watchers find more about you? We got your website. Say it one more time.
Yep. So the stage 4 breast cancer. I'm sorry. The guy with stage 4 breastcancer.com. Number 4. And that's also the guy with stage 4 breast cancer on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. Okay.
You
and I'll put all his information in that he wants in the description of the podcast, listeners and watchers.
You can't type in male breast cancer into the interwebs and not find me, right?
And not get you.
You're gonna find me.
I'll find you. I found you right now. There you are. There you are.
Right. You're gonna find me.
Thank you so much for coming on, Jake.
Thank you guys. This was fantastic.
I'd love to ask you
great topic.
I would love to ask you for some advice for the listeners, like based on what we've talked about. Maybe there's like, there are some men who listen to this podcast on YouTube, but we have a large male audience who are older, and maybe they have found a lump or something and they've not told anyone, and maybe they're listening to this and they're like, well, maybe I should do something. What would your advice be? Don't panic first, I would think, but then what else?
Don't panic. I tell every guy that writes me that's like, oh my gosh, I found a lump. I'm like, okay, well, the odds are in your favor that it's not breast cancer. And I start with that, right? It's 99% to 1% that it's not breast cancer, right? Because 99% of the cases are women and 1% are men. So you've got a better than average shot that this is anything other than breast cancer.
It could be something outright that it's
something. I try to take that fear out immediately.
Yeah. Good.
And then secondly is like, I'm not dispensing any medical advice. You need to go talk to a doctor immediately, right?
Exactly.
Because they need to tell you that this is nothing, right? Doctor. And so that's what I would do.
That's great advice, man. I love it. Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank our sponsor, Everclear, right now. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths to get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. I'm an advisor on there under the name Lisa Rusczyk.
And I am an advisor on Everclear also under the name Dona Murphy. And I am just so grateful, Jake, that you joined us. I think this is going to be really, really helpful to our audience. There's a lot to unpack with this.
Yes.
But I really think that the opportunity for people to begin to familiarize themselves with something that really maybe up until now they haven't even really heard about.
I hadn't until your email. I didn't think about it.
Yeah. It's really something that I think will be of great benefit, if for no other reason, but that I really do believe that, knowledge is not so much. I know they always say knowledge is power. I tend to think I
think knowledge is freedom.
Knowledge, and knowledge is empowerment as opposed to raw power. Knowledge is empowerment. And the more we can do that for our audience, the happier we are. So
what I always say, I'll wrap it up, is that what I don't want is a guy at 52 years old putting on deodorant and finding a lump and going, oh, that's weird, and then waiting 5 months, right?
Yeah, I know.
Because that guy was never told that men could get breast cancer, right?
Right.
And so we're taking care of that right now. Every guy listening to this podcast has now heard it, so that if they do find a lump, they don't have the excuse of, well, I've never heard it, right? That's
right.
I didn't know that was
what
possible.
I want to try to avoid is those men not taking care of themselves.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jake. And we do have one last question for you, Donna. Would you like to ask him one last question?
Yes, and it's the question that we ask all our guests, just like we do at the beginning of the show. Do you love our listeners and watchers?
Do I what?
Do you love our listeners and watchers?
Yes, of course I do. I mean, it's fantastic.
He loves you. He came to see you guys. We will tell you about his story. And thank you so much for doing that. I've had it's not a great time. It's kind of hard to say that about this conversation.
It is more than fine. You can have a good conversation about a bad topic. It was really
meaningful. Thank you.
Yes.
It's very meaningful, and I really appreciate you coming and talking about this and being so vulnerable with us. And good luck with your journey, and keep changing minds. I love it.
You guys, thank you so much.
And listeners, I love you too.
Take good care.
And have a great time wherever you may be.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Peace out. Bye.